Harland. I'm at the Oxford Real Farming 2019 conference. I'm delighted to be with Scarlett Penn, and Scarlett runs the Worldwide Opportunities on Organic Farms, and that sounds very grand.
Commonly known as WWOOFing.
WWOOFing. So tell us a little bit about your organisation and what it means to sign up as a member.
Okay, so we're a charity that has been going for 47 years, believe it or not, and we exist to connect people who want to learn about organic farming, alternative ways of living, with host sites across the UK who are living life in a different way and who can educate people in whatever skill they might be interested in learning about.
And can you give me some kind of indication of the sort of different experience a volunteer woofer can get from, you know, a larger farm to a small holding, etc.?
Yeah, and it doesn't have to be a farm at all. It could be like a house with a back garden that's very interested in growing lots of vegetables in a small scale in a permaculture way. It can be, as you say, a large scale farm. It could be a small holding. We have breweries and vineyards as well. We have crofts in Scotland. We also have woodland sites, and we have educational sites. There's a lot of an emphasis of education on alternative ways of living for WWOOF. It's not, so it is about exchanging your energy for board and accommodation, but it's also about the host giving you some element of education as well.
So the organisation itself develops the network and has hosting organisations that join as, you know, opportunities for people to visit and stay, and then ordinary people, I say that, then members of the general public can sign up, and then do you get a database or?
Yeah, so it's not so much organisation. So we've got about 650 hosts throughout the UK, and they can be organisations, but they can be people just like me. So I'm a host in Shropshire, and I'm just a normal person on a small holding, and I welcomed about 15 volunteers last year. So you pay your subscription, which is about £20 for a woofer, and for that you can woof for the whole year. And I know people who have been woofing non-stop for 10 years and have it as a way of life. Yeah, I had one, that was my last woofer, it's amazing. But yeah, so you pay £20 as a volunteer, and then you get the list of 650 hosts that we have throughout the UK, so England, Ireland, Northern Ireland, Scotland and Wales. And you take your pick, so you might be wanting to search on various things, like you might want to learn a skill like cheese making, or you might want to learn about vineyards. You know, whatever it is, you might be looking for a skill, you might be looking for a geographic location, so you might particularly want to be woofing in a exciting area of Scotland or something. So you can select on whatever your criteria are, and then you go to the host and you say, have you got availability for whatever timescale you want, and that can be anything from a weekend, because we've started out as working weekends on organic farms, so we still do the weekend thing, but the arrangement can last as long or as short as suits both the volunteer and the host. So it's all a separate negotiation. As an office, if you like, we don't sort out that side of things. That is totally down to two people involved, or two sets of people involved.
So 10 years of woofing. That must be a very skilled woofer. Yeah, he's a nice guy, he knows a lot of things. And the interesting point is that he came to me as his last woof ever, because he's decided to settle in my hometown. Oh, wow. Yeah. So as a host, what kind of things on your small holding, what kind of things would you do with a woofer?
So I do have hens, but I don't have much else in the way of animals. So it's basically vegetable growing on my small holding, and so all aspects, right from prepping the ground to sowing the seeds. I don't have volunteers, and a lot of hosts don't have volunteers over winter, but some do. So hosts with livestock, that's 365 days a year. So, but myself, I just do vegetables, so I have people really from sort of March to October. So people typically come for maybe a couple of weeks, so they don't see the whole process through, but woofers in general will be doing anything from sowing the seeds, prepping the ground, sowing the seeds, transplanting the seeds, harvesting, I always try and make sure that volunteers eat as much from my piece of land as possible, because that's what it's all about. Feeding yourself in a sustainable, holistic, healthy way that really reminds you of the connection between yourself and the earth and puts everything into context. And then for me, it's also very important to complete the life cycle by teaching about seed saving. And I let anything that I'm not harvesting go to seed, and I collect the seeds and I teach the woofers how to do that, because where are we without our own seeds? So for me, that's a very important thing. And in amongst all of that, I try and sort of interweave it with other things such as permaculture techniques. And I'm always learning myself, and I'm learning from the woofers. So the woofer that's been around for 10 years, he taught me a thing or two, and that's great. And that's that mutual exchange thing going on. And I've had volunteers from all around the world as well. Yeah, so.
And it's a community.
It is, yeah, absolutely. And here at Oxford Farming Conference, I've seen so many woof hosts as well. A lot of them speaking, a lot of them just milling around, getting ideas, inspiring each other. And it is a community, yes. And when I moved to my new area, the first thing I did was look on the host map and see who in my area is a woof host, because that's where the like-minded people are. And there's a huge overlap with permaculture, of course. And we have very active, in my local area, a very active permaculture network where, again, there's a lot of woof hosts. There's a huge amount of overlap between permaculture and woofing.
Thank you very much, Scarlett. Thank you.